Have you ever wondered about the history and importance of gardening? Imagine a time when the world was wild and unshaped. The concept of gardening, as we know it today, was not a leisurely pursuit or a passion. It was a means to survival, a necessity that emerged from the earliest human societies. These societies were nomadic, foraging for food and moving with the seasons until they began to recognize a vital truth. They discovered that certain plants could be encouraged to grow in accessible niches, providing them with easier access to food. This marked the dawn of gardening. It was a time when humans began to shift from the role of passive gatherers to active cultivators. They started to understand the rhythms of nature and learned to coax life from the earth. Just picture the first sprouts of wheat, barley, or corn emerging from the ground, nurtured by human hands. It was a triumph, a moment of realization that they could shape their environment to meet their needs. Plant domestication was the next significant milestone in this journey. It was the birth of agriculture, a game changer that allowed societies to settle down, build civilizations, and create surplus food. The ability to control plant growth meant a shift from a nomadic lifestyle to one of permanence and stability. Indigenous societies played a critical role in this evolution. Across the globe, these societies developed rich and diverse gardening traditions. They understood the land and the seasons, knew which plants would thrive and which wouldn't. Each tribe, each community had its own unique way of nurturing plants, a knowledge passed down through generations. Forest gardening, perhaps the world's oldest form of gardening, was practiced for millennia. It was a harmonious blend of cultivation and conservation, a multi-layered, sustainable approach that maximized the yield from a given piece of land. Thus, gardening, in its primitive form, was born out of necessity and survival. As societies evolved, so did their gardens. Ancient civilizations, like those of Egypt and Rome, were no exception. They took gardening to new heights with their ornamental gardens, which served both aesthetic and religious purposes. In the arid landscape of ancient Egypt, gardens were like lush green oases, providing a stark contrast to the surrounding desert. They were not just places for relaxation, but also for worship. Sacred plants like the lotus and the palm tree were grown in these gardens, symbolizing life and fertility. Their presence in the gardens was believed to bring blessings and prosperity. The ancient Romans, on the other hand, were renowned for their lavish and expansive gardens. Wealthy Romans used these spaces to showcase their affluence, creating intricate designs with walkways, fountains, and statues. They cultivated plants not only for their beauty, but also for their fragrance. The scent of roses, violets, and myrtle would permeate the air, providing a sensory delight for visitors. These gardens were also used for religious observances. The Romans believed that their gods resided in nature. Gardens were seen as sacred spaces where humans could connect with the divine. So they planted trees and flowers to honor their gods, hoping to attract their favor and blessings. But these ornamental gardens were not just about aesthetics or religion. They were a reflection of the societal structure. The grandeur of the gardens was a direct indication of the wealth and social status of the owner. The more elaborate the garden, the higher the status of its owner. In conclusion, these gardens were a testament to the sophistication and advancement of these ancient civilizations. They showcased their understanding of horticulture, their religious beliefs, and their societal values. These ancient gardens were not just for beauty or religion, they reflected the societal structure and wealth of the civilizations. The Renaissance period brought a new perspective to many aspects of life, including gardening. As the world emerged from the Middle Ages into the vibrant era of the Renaissance, there was a seismic shift in the way people perceived and interacted with the world around them. This cultural reawakening didn't leave gardening untouched. In fact, it was during this period that gardening began to be seen as more than just a functional necessity. It blossomed into an art form and a means of self-expression. During the Renaissance, the connection between man and nature was celebrated. Gardens were no longer just plots of land designated for growing food. They became thoughtfully designed spaces that reflected the beauty and order of the natural world. Gardens were crafted with an attentive eye, and every plant, tree, and flower was meticulously chosen and arranged to create a harmonious and aesthetically pleasing environment. Borrowing from the grandeur and opulence of the era, Renaissance gardens were often vast and elaborate, boasting geometric designs, water features, and sculptures. They were a testament to human ingenuity and a reflection of the era's pursuit of knowledge and beauty. The Renaissance also saw the rise of botanical gardens. These gardens were not just for pleasure, but also for study, reflecting the period's thirst for knowledge. Botanical gardens became centers for the study of plants, their medicinal uses, and their role in the ecosystem. They were living laboratories where new species were cultivated and studied, contributing to the scientific revolution of the time. Gardening during the Renaissance was also a means of self-expression. Just as a painter expressed themselves through their brushstrokes on a canvas, gardeners expressed their creativity, emotions, and thoughts through their gardens. Each garden was unique, reflecting the personality and spirit of its creator. This was a time when gardening was elevated from a practical activity to an intellectual pursuit. It was no longer just about survival, but about creating beauty, exploring the natural world, and expressing oneself. The Renaissance period, with its emphasis on art and beauty, elevated gardening from a practical activity to an art form. Fast forward to the present day, and you'll see that gardening has taken on a new significance. Today, gardening isn't just about growing plants for aesthetics or food. It's evolved into a form of art, a hobby, and a means of connecting with nature. The scope of gardening has expanded significantly, ranging from small container gardens adorning urban balconies to vast landscapes that rival the grandeur of Versailles. In the heart of bustling cities, you'll find urbanites tending to their container gardens, an ingenious solution that brings a touch of green to concrete jungles. These miniature gardens, brimming with a variety of plants, offer a quick escape from the digital world, a moment of peace in the chaos of urban life. On the other end of the spectrum, you have vast landscapes, meticulously designed and maintained. These gardens are testaments to patience and the careful nurturing of nature. They serve as places for leisure, where people can stroll amidst the greenery, breathe in the fresh air, and momentarily forget about the world outside. Then there are the community gardens, a manifestation of collective effort. These shared spaces, often in urban settings, allow people to grow their own produce, foster community spirit, and promote sustainable living. They provide a sense of belonging, a space where people can share their love for gardening and learn from each other. Gardening today also takes on therapeutic roles, providing stress relief and mental solace. Many find the process of planting, watering, and tending to plants therapeutic. The act of seeing a seed sprout into a plant, blossom, and bear fruit is incredibly rewarding and grounding. In today's world, where technology often dominates our lives, gardening is a tangible, hands-on activity that allows us to unplug and reconnect with the natural world. It's a reminder of the simple joys of life: the smell of fresh soil, the sight of a blooming flower, the taste of a freshly picked tomato. In the hustle and bustle of the modern world, gardening provides a much-needed respite and a chance to connect with nature. But why is gardening important, and why should we care about it, you might ask? Well, the significance of gardening extends far beyond the simple act of growing plants. It's a practice that benefits us in numerous ways, and its impact is deeply rooted in our lives. Firstly, let's talk aesthetics. Gardens are a feast for the senses. They add beauty and tranquility to our surroundings, creating spaces that are soothing to the eyes and calming to the soul. A well-maintained garden can transform a mundane space into a vibrant, lively corner, offering a visual treat that uplifts our spirits. But the importance of gardening isn't just skin deep. It plays a crucial role in food production as well. Homegrown fruits, vegetables, and herbs not only taste better, but they're also healthier. They're free from harmful pesticides and chemicals, and the satisfaction of eating something you've grown yourself is second to none. Gardening is also a champion of biodiversity. By cultivating a variety of plants, we're creating habitats for different species of insects, birds, and other wildlife. This helps in maintaining the ecological balance and contributes to the overall health of our planet. And let's not forget the positive impact of gardening on our mental health. It's a therapeutic activity that reduces stress, fosters creativity, and promotes mindfulness. Spending time in a garden, whether you're planting seeds or simply enjoying the serenity, can do wonders for your well-being. But most importantly, gardening cultivates a sense of responsibility towards nature. It's a hands-on lesson in caring for the environment, in understanding the delicate balance of nature, and in appreciating the beauty of life in its most basic form. So to answer the question, why is gardening important? It's because it enriches our lives and our environment in countless ways. It's a practice that nourishes the body, soothes the mind, invigorates the senses, and nurtures the soul. Gardening is not just about growing plants. It's about growing a healthier and more beautiful world. So, where is gardening headed in the future? As we look ahead, it's clear that gardening is not about to be left behind in the march towards the future. In fact, it's poised to play a significant role in addressing some of the most pressing challenges of our time. A major trend we're already seeing is the rise of urban gardening. As more people migrate to cities, the need to bring green spaces into our concrete jungles has never been greater. Urban gardening, whether in the form of community gardens or personal balcony greenhouses, is shaping up to be a potent antidote to the often sterile city landscapes, providing both aesthetic and environmental benefits. In a similar vein, vertical gardening is gaining traction. With space at a premium in urban areas, gardeners are looking up rather than out. Vertical gardens, whether they're on walls or in specially designed towers, allow for a lot of greenery in a small footprint. They're not just space-saving, but also help to cool buildings, improve air quality, and even boost mental well-being. Sustainable practices are another key element of future gardening. As awareness of our environmental footprint grows, gardeners are increasingly turning to methods that work with nature rather than against it. This includes organic gardening, rainwater harvesting, composting, and the use of native plants. These practices not only help to preserve our planet, but also create healthier, more resilient gardens. Lastly, technology is weaving its way into the garden, as in every other aspect of life. From smart watering systems that conserve water to apps that help identify pests and diseases, technology is making gardening more accessible and efficient than ever before. But perhaps the most exciting development is the potential for technology to democratize gardening. With advances in hydroponics and indoor gardening systems, anyone can have a garden, regardless of where they live or how much outdoor space they have. As we move forward, gardening will continue to evolve, adapting to our changing needs and lifestyles. From the rise of urban and vertical gardening to the embrace of sustainable practices and technology, the future of gardening is bright, green, and truly exciting. From being a survival necessity in ancient times to becoming an art form and a means of relaxation in the modern world, gardening has come a long way. Indeed, this journey has been as diverse and remarkable as the myriad plants that grace our gardens today. We've traced gardening's roots back to the dawn of civilization when our ancestors domesticated plants, not just for sustenance, but also for the sheer joy of creating green spaces. This was the first chapter in a story that has since unfolded over thousands of years, across continents and cultures, through epochs and eras. We've seen how the ancient civilizations of Egypt and Rome turned their gardens into symbols of wealth and social status. They cultivated not just plants, but also aesthetics and religion, turning gardens into sacred spaces and works of art. Then came the Renaissance, a period of revival and rebirth that breathed new life into gardening. Gardens became canvases for creative expression, reflecting the era's spirit of exploration and discovery. This was a time when gardening began to evolve, to adapt to changing tastes and techniques, yet at its heart, it remained an intimate act of creating and caring for life. In the modern world, gardening has taken on new meanings and forms. It's no longer just about growing plants. It's about creating habitats, promoting biodiversity, and nurturing our mental and physical well-being. It's about connecting with nature in an increasingly disconnected world, about finding solace and satisfaction in the simple act of planting a seed and watching it grow. Throughout this journey, we've come to appreciate the importance of gardening. It's not just a hobby or a pastime. It's a life-affirming practice that connects us to our past, grounds us in the present, and sows seeds for the future. It reminds us of our inherent connection to the earth, our dependence on it, and our responsibility towards it. As we look to the future, it's clear that gardening will continue to evolve and adapt, just as it has done throughout history. New practices will emerge, new technologies will be adopted, and new challenges will be faced. But at its core, gardening will always be about growing and nurturing life, about the joy of creation and the satisfaction of care. And so, as we wrap up this journey through the annals of gardening, let's remember that while styles and techniques may change, the essence of gardening remains unaltered. It's a testament to our enduring relationship with the natural world, a relationship that is as essential to our well-being as it is to the health of our planet. No matter how technology evolves or societies change, the essence of gardening, growing and nurturing life, will always remain the same.